Hello everyone, Everything Eurovision here. So as you can tell, this is my first video showing my face, and last year I did my top 41. I'll try and do that again this year, but today I am going to be covering the Eurovision 2019 first semi-final and my overall kind of reaction and review of it. So it was the most exciting night of the year because Eurovision had officially started and Eurovision week is finally here, and I absolutely adore Eurovision. I would say I'm like a super fan. I would absolutely love to meet some of the acts. I'm really like kind of a nerd about Eurovision. For some reason I've always just had a really big interest in it, even though it's not that important. I just like to remember kind of things about it. Anyhow, so there was obviously 18 acts from what I remember last night, and only 10 could qualify, which, yeah, I mean, it's certainly quite exciting because there's so many people who were in the semi-finals, and yeah, they had to try and get through. And I was quite impressed with this semi-final. There wasn't really many. That's what I love about this song contest this year especially. There's not really many bad entries. First of all, I'm quite glad Portugal didn't get through. That was a very, very odd song. And yeah, the dancing was odd as well. Yeah, I don't think it deserved to get through. Montenegro didn't get through, which is no surprise. They were pretty bad. They were on the chopping block straight from the start because they can't hit any notes. Belgium is a very big surprise again because last year they didn't get through as well, and this year they haven't got through again. I really liked Belgium's song this year. It was one of my favourites when I heard it on the music video, but when it was performed live, I felt Elliot was a bit too young, inexperienced, and he didn't quite have the vocals. It wasn't very good. It didn't have any oomph. It was quite flat. That really disappointed me because I thought he was going to qualify. Belgium used to do really well in this contest, but recently they've fallen off a bit, and there doesn't really seem to be a reason for that. I guess the entries just aren't as good anymore. Obviously France automatically qualify who are their neighbouring countries, and obviously the big five are through and Israel. But this semi-final was quite unpredictable actually. You knew who was going through and you knew some who were definitely not going through. But then I would say the most shocking one for me was San Marino, because they were quite frankly terrible. His vocals, yeah, he can't sing, but I guess people like that catchy kind of element of San Marino. It's so bad it's almost laughable. It's almost good because it's so bad. He can't sing. Yeah, it's a really bad song and bad lyrics. They probably wrote it in about 2 minutes, and honestly that shocked me when he got through. As I said, it shocked me that Belgium didn't get through, but the rest I was pretty impressed by. Greece, who they deserve to go through. I think it adds a different element. She was combining a lot of different genres, which I really liked. Quite a good stage presence. Poland didn't get through, which I'm happy with because Palisade was probably the worst song of the year, and I would definitely not choose that for the final, and that reflected. Belarus, I mean, her entry isn't that good, but obviously Belarus didn't qualify last year and now she's qualified. I didn't like her entry, but I think she put on a good performance. She has appeal. Very good dancing and choreography. I love that. I mean, that is beautiful. Serbia, I didn't mind Serbia. It was quite a ballad. It was very well sung. The staging's pretty good presence. Cyprus, again getting through. Obviously they finished second last year, but it's not going to finish second by any chance. I mean, Replay sounds exactly like Fuego last year, and I can see why it got through because of the catchiness and the appeal. She went first, which is pretty impressive because often those get forgotten, but her song was catchy. She had a pretty good stage presence. She couldn't really sing, but people don't seem to care about that. Estonia were next to go through. I quite liked him. I feel that his song isn't very good and his notes were a bit off at times, but I think he has that appeal and he is a crowd pleaser, I would say. Certainly, I was quite surprised that Finland didn't get through. I was quite disappointed at that because I didn't mind that song. I mean, it was quite well performed for me in the semi-final, but it didn't get through. I guess people only know Darude for Sandstorm, and then they thought, oh, no, not voting him through to the final. Czech Republic next to get through. That was no surprise. Friend of a Friend. It's an okay song. It's not as good as last year's Czech Republic entry, which I really liked. Lied to Me, and that was... This one was... It was appealing. It was kind of like... One thing I did like that the British commentators said was that it's like a 1975, but if they want CBeebies, which I really found quite funny, and it's quite true because they weren't bad. I liked their staging, it was quite fun, it was quite upbeat, but then the song isn't that brilliant, but it's catchy, it can grow on me. Australia, this is becoming a big favourite quickly. Many people are going on to predict that it will win the whole thing. I don't think it will, purely because they're not in Europe. I think it would win if they were in a different country. I know that's not possible, but they're not going to win truly because of the fact that they're not in Europe, and people, true-hearted Eurovision fans, want European countries to win. And I was quite impressed with Australia. It certainly delivered a brilliant performance, something that we've never seen in Eurovision before. It certainly ticked all the boxes of what a Eurovision song should include. Her vocals were quite incredible, and her staging, wow, I mean, it made me feel dizzy, but it was quite impressive, really. Iceland. I don't really know what to say about Iceland, but they are funny. I like their mysterious kind of vibe to them. They never really speak or say anything, and I'm just like, what is going on? But I quite like that element of surprise. They certainly bring a big message here. Obviously, it translates to hate will prevail, and I quite like that. Obviously, the performance is very, well, it's kind of like BDSM sort of thing, and I like the appeal of that. It's certainly different, and I see why people will enjoy it. I think he lost his voice by the end of it, but I quite like the pop chorus. I like the change. I like the message. It's odd, but it's pleasing. It's a hard one to describe. San Marino, dearie me. I was very shocked, as I said earlier on in the video, that these got through. And I mean, what is Serhat doing? He was in the 2016 contest. Obviously, he didn't qualify then, but San Marino have not qualified in ages, and then he goes on to like do really well this year, and I'm very shocked. I think people just liked how bad it was, and I think that's the appeal of it. And then finally to go through was Slovenia. I really like Slovenia's entry this year. It's definitely in my top 10 of songs, and it's quite subtle, it's quite resonant, it's quite low kind of chill song, and I really like the simplicity of it. Sometimes less is more. So that's my verdict on the first semi-final of Eurovision 2019. I love it so much, but Thursday we got to look forward to another semi-final, and Saturday, the big one. So thank you everybody for watching. I will see you probably Friday, and I guess goodbye, Europe.